It was a dark and stormy night in 1816. On the shores of Lake Geneva, inside a candlelit villa, a group of young writers dared each other to create the most terrifying ghost story imaginable. One of them, an 18-year-old named Mary Shelley, would give birth to a legend, a scientist who defied nature and a monster brought to life by lightning and ambition. But was Mary Shelley's Frankenstein purely fiction? Or was there some chilling truth behind her tale of unnatural creation? In today's video, we'll explore the real science, the real people, and the real fears that inspired Frankenstein. You may be surprised to learn just how close Shelley's dark imagination came to reality. And if you're a fan of historical mysteries like this, click that subscribe button to keep up with our future releases. The story of Frankenstein begins in 1816, the infamous year without a summer. A massive volcano eruption the year before had plunged the world into darkness, crop failure, and famine. And in the gloom of that eerie summer, Mary Shelley, her lover Percy B. Shelley, Lord Byron, and Dr. John Polidori took refuge at a villa in Switzerland. With rain pouring and thunder booming outside, Byron proposed a ghost story contest. Mary, only a teenager at the time, struggled to come up with an idea, until she had a vivid nightmare of a pale student kneeling beside the corpse he had reanimated. Thus, Frankenstein, or the modern Prometheus, was born. Mary Shelley's Victor Frankenstein is a driven, tragic figure, a man of science obsessed with unlocking the secrets of life. But was he based on a real person? While there was no single Dr. Frankenstein, Shelley was deeply influenced by the scientific minds of her day, men who were indeed experimenting with life and death. One of the biggest inspirations came from Luigi Galvani, an Italian physician who in the late 1700s discovered that electricity could make dead frogs' legs twitch. He called this phenomenon animal electricity. His nephew, Giovanni Aldini, took these ideas even further, applying electric currents to human corpses. In public demonstrations, Aldini made the limbs of executed criminals move. Their eyes flick open, and in some cases, their jaws appear to scream. To the public, this looked like science resurrecting the dead. Mary Shelley was very aware of these experiments. Her husband Percy even attended some lectures on galvanism. During Shelley's time, science was advancing rapidly, but not without controversy. Autonomy schools required cadavers, and demand led to the rise of grave robbers, known as resurrectionists. People feared what scientists were doing behind closed doors, cutting up corpses, experimenting with reanimation, and pushing the limits of mortality. In Frankenstein, Victor robs graves and slaughterhouses for parts, echoing these real-life horrors. The line between scientific pursuit and playing God had never felt thinner. Mary Shelley wasn't just influenced by science. She was also steeped in philosophy, mythology, and classic literature. The novel's subtitle, The Modern Prometheus, refers to the Greek titan who stole fire from the gods and gave it to mankind, just as Victor steals the secret of life. Shelley also drew from Milton's Paradise Lost, exploring the creature's fall from grace and his plea for acceptance. Her story questions the responsibility of creators, the dangers of ambition, and what it means to be human. Shelley's monster is often remembered as a mindless brute, but in the novel, he is intelligent, articulate, and deeply emotional. His suffering is a direct result of Victor's abandonment. This humanization may have been inspired by real social debates of the time about class, race, criminal justice, and what makes somebody a monster. Mary Shelley questioned not just the power of science, but the moral obligation of those who wield it. So could a scientist like Victor Frankenstein have actually created life in the early 1800s? The short answer? No. But it wasn't as far-fetched as it might seem. Electricity was already being used to stimulate muscles. Heart defibrillation and organ transplants were still far in the future, but the seeds of modern medicine were being planted. What Shelley imagined was the logical extreme of where science could go, and today we still grapple with those ethical dilemmas in genetic engineering, AI, and even cloning. When Frankenstein was published in 1818, many readers assumed Percy Shelley had written it. It was just too complex, too intellectual, too dark for a young woman. But Mary Shelley had done something revolutionary. She had created the first true science fiction novel, and over 2 centuries later, it's still haunting us. From horror movies to bioethics debates, Frankenstein's legacy lives on. It wasn't just a horror story, it was a warning, a reflection of what happens when human curiosity outpaces morality. So was there any truth to Frankenstein? Absolutely. While the events may be fictional, the fears were real. Mary Shelley wove together the science of her time, the ethical dilemmas of creation, and the emotional weight of abandonment and identity to craft something that feels timeless. Victor Frankenstein never walked the earth, but the questions his story raises, what it means to create life and what responsibilities come with that power, are more relevant today than ever. If you enjoyed this dive into the real history behind Frankenstein, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let us know in the comments below what you think the real monster of the story is, Victor or the creature. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and never stop seeking the truth. Thank you for watching.